So this tier list is going to be a little different than my usual ones. So The Undertaker is my mom's favorite wrestler, and today is her birthday as this video is going up. So happy birthday, Mom. So I will be going over every single WrestleMania match that The Undertaker has had. However, I'm going to go in reverse chronological order because that's how I have better. And well, I have a better recollection of some of his more recent WrestleMania matches. So AJ Styles versus The Undertaker in a Boneyard match. Now that wasn't a full-blown wrestling match like these other matches, but I hate to give AJ credit, but that was a fun match. And do I think there could have been a better final opponent for The Undertaker? Oh, excuse me. Yes. Yes, I do. But I'll give it an A. I'll give it an A. John Cena versus The Undertaker. People have been asking for this match at WrestleMania for a long time. And I wanted it to be more along the lines of somewhere between 2007 and 2014. However, we got it in 2018 when we all thought The Undertaker retired at WrestleMania 33. Only for The Undertaker to come back for a not even 3-minute match. And I'm a John Cena fan. I'm not salty because John Cena lost. I would have been fine with Cena losing in a full blown match, like at least 10 minutes. But this was just disrespectful to both John Cena, The Undertaker, and the fans. So F tier, which is rare for me to put Undertaker and Cena both in there. Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker. Now, there were parts of this match where The Undertaker looked a bit rough. But overall, this was a good match. However, the Roman Reigns was getting booed out of the building after this match, so they should have taken the opportunity to at least attempt to turn him heel. But yeah, I'm giving it a B tier. I don't like it as much as the Boneyard match, but it's still pretty good. Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker. Look, we can all roast Shane McMahon all we want. But this cell match was honestly the best thing on the WrestleMania card for WrestleMania 32. It's not a perfect match, but I'm definitely putting it at the top of A tier, above AJ Styles versus The Undertaker. Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt. This is the match. Like, if they were going to end the streak at all, this is the match that should have been the end of the streak. This would have been a passing of the torch, and it would have been the perfect way to establish Bray Wyatt as a proper main event star. Other than that, this was an amazing match. it was so much better than what The Undertaker went through the year before. So I'm actually giving this an S tier. It was honestly one of my favorite matches involving either The Undertaker or Bray Wyatt. Now we're moving on to the end of the streak, which was Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker. And this was, I would have to say, the worst match I've seen from The Undertaker. Like, not just because he lost to Brock Lesnar, but if I'm not mistaken, he got concussed partway through the match. So he wasn't able to do his usual stuff, and it really affected the match. So it's going into the F tier. Undertaker versus CM Punk. This was honestly the end of his streak of amazing matches at WrestleMania. I hate giving CM Punk credit, but he was such an amazing opponent for The Undertaker. See, I'm putting my bias aside for this. Like, CM Punk and AJ Styles are two of my least favorite wrestlers, but I'm giving them the credit they deserve in this instance. I'm going to put it at the top of A tier because even the build to the match made Punk look like the biggest jerkwad. And The Undertaker did not hold back in this match. Up next, the end of an era, Triple H versus Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell. These two had a trilogy of matches at WrestleMania. And honestly, this was their best one. Plus the added drama of Shawn Michaels as the referee just intensified the story. Triple H was trying to do something that Shawn Michaels failed to do. But Triple H ended up failing, even with Shawn Michaels getting involved in hitting Undertaker with a sweet chin music. So I'm putting that. Yeah, I'm actually going to put that above Bray Wyatt versus The Undertaker. Mainly from a storytelling perspective and match quality. Undertaker versus Triple H from the year before. Once again, probably the best match on the WrestleMania card of that year. And like I mean that as in like I mean that as in like it wasn't hard to decide that because all the other matches weren't that great. But the build up to the match and the match itself, it was chaos. But I don't like it as much as Bray Wyatt versus The Undertaker. And so it's staying in the S tier though. Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker in Shawn Michaels' true retirement match. Now, if he would have stayed retired, this would have been the perfect way to end his career. So, the build up to the match was Shawn Michaels being so desperate to face The Undertaker that he cost him the World Heavyweight Championship inside the Elimination Chamber just to get this match. So, the match quality itself is one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. But now let's move on to the greatest WrestleMania match of all time, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25. It is not the 25th anniversary, it would have been the 24th anniversary. So WrestleMania 25, very top of the S tier, because this match made it feel like these two were made to be opponents. Their clashing styles, their in-ring chemistry, and their character work just made this, honestly, the perfect WrestleMania match. And we've had, 15 WrestleManias since? And I'm still calling this the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. And this is coming from someone who absolutely loved the Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I would put that at number 2. Cody versus Roman at this past Mania would be number 3. But anyway, back to The Undertaker. Undertaker versus Edge from WrestleMania 24. This is also one of those matches that was above and beyond one of one of the best matches on the show. But no, that wasn't just because everything else on the show was bad. It was actually a great WrestleMania. But just the chemistry between The Undertaker and Edge was amazing. In fact, even when there was the interferences and the referee got knocked down, and Charles Robinson running down the ramp to go count the pin, it just added so much drama to the match. I'm going to put it above Triple H's second attempt at beating the streak. Yeah, I believe this one is the Batista match. Or it could be this one. And I think WrestleMania 23 had the white ropes. But this was pretty much where the start of that long streak of WrestleMania matches being top tier comes into play. Like, Batista and The Undertaker have great chemistry. Now, I wouldn't say amazing, but if you put them in the ring for 20 minutes, they could put on a match that many people would say was like a 4.5 star match or something like that. So, the fact that The Undertaker won the Rumble and made his way to this match, like, yeah, the build-up was a little shaky because they did that whole can they coexist storyline at No Way Out. But the match was amazing. So, A tier. Mark Henry versus The Undertaker in a casket match. Now, this is a match I'm going to have to refresh myself on. Alright, so for all the matches that I need a bit of a refresher on, I'm just watching, like, little highlights of the match, if I can find any. But this was back in the day when Mark Henry wasn't really known as a serious threat. So this just felt more of a placeholder feud. Like honestly, I think they should have just dragged out the Kurt Angle feud and just have Undertaker versus Kurt Angle here. So I'll put it in the D tier. However, it wasn't a bad match. Now, Undertaker versus Randy Orton. For being a young Randy Orton match, there were actually points where I thought Randy was going to beat the streak. Well, I mean, I wasn't. Well, what I mean is that there were believable moments where, like, if you were watching at the time it was live, you would have thought that he would have beaten the streak. Because I'll be honest, I wasn't watching wrestling in 2005. When this match happened, I was only 3. Because I was born later in 2001. This match was early 2005. But yeah, with the power of hindsight, this was honestly a pretty good match with a potentially believable outcome. Kane versus The Undertaker for the second time. I really enjoyed this. Now, when it comes to these two, their matches weren't always great, but this was one of those times where it was just really enjoyable. Like, you could obviously tell Undertaker was the better wrestler of the two, but the story behind the match just made it great. So, definite B tier. Now we move on to Big Show and A-Train versus The Undertaker. Alright. So, turns out this was supposed to be a tag team match. So, it was John Cena. Not John Cena. Why am I thinking of him? Okay. I mean The Undertaker and Nathan Jones versus A-Train and Big Show. John Cena didn't even have a match at this WrestleMania. But anyway, Nathan Jones was not in the match. All he was relegated to was a run-in. But the match was alright from the short highlight I've kind of breezed through. So, I'll give it a C tier. Not the biggest fan of the Big Show or A-Train's work. So, yeah, that's going in C tier. Undertaker versus Ric Flair. Now, this is a match that I watched quite a long time ago. And I would say the match was solid. So I don't remember much from the match, but I'm pretty sure it had a stipulation on it. So I'm just going to, yeah, I'll put it in B tier below Undertaker and Kane. Uh, Triple H versus The Undertaker for the very first time at WrestleMania. This match, I'm not going to say it was their best WrestleMania match, but I would have to say, well, no, I would honestly say it's respectfully their worst WrestleMania match against each other. And by respectfully, I mean like A tier. Because if I'm not mistaken, this is the match where the referee got knocked out and they actually left the ring to go fight and cause chaos throughout the arena. So, yeah, A tier for that match. Big Boss Man versus The Undertaker. Inside Hell in a Cell. Now, this match, I only remember for the ending. And it still gives me chills to this day. So, honestly, I'm going to give this a D tier. Now, Kane versus The Undertaker for the first time. This is one of those matches where, once again, it was enjoyable. Like, Kane is not known for high match quality, but he was more of a good storyteller if he had the right opponent. And honestly, I would say this was slightly better than their match like 6 years later. And up next, Psycho Sid versus The Undertaker. Alright, so this match apparently had a no disqualification addition to it, like last minute. However, the match looked more like a kind of disappointment. So, I'm going to have to put this in F tier. And, like, just at the top of it. Diesel versus The Undertaker. Now, this match was one of his better big man matches at WrestleMania. Like, this was when Diesel was at his best. And he was on his way out the door for WCW. And he put on a great match with The Undertaker. So, I'll say it's better than the Ric Flair match. King Kong Bundy versus The Undertaker was one of the bad examples of a big man match. Like, if when it comes to big man versus big man, you kind of hope that it's good, but this match was not good. But I would say it's better than Psycho Sid versus The Undertaker. Giant Consoles versus The Undertaker. All I remember from this match was that it ended with a disqualification, and honestly, the Giant Gonzalez was not that good. Well, he wasn't good in the ring. Like, the problem with some big men, like when it comes to height, it's more of a hindrance on them when it comes to in-ring work. So I'll put this above John Cena versus The Undertaker in F tier. Uh, I haven't seen Undertaker versus Jake the Snake Roberts, nor do I plan on it. So I'll just put it in C tier, and I'll just leave it at that. Jimmy Snuka versus The Undertaker was the first Undertaker WrestleMania match, and uh, this was basically just an extended squash match because Jake Roberts was in his 50s. Why do I keep saying Jake Roberts? Jimmy Snuka was in his 50s, and this was just a passing of the torch, like from the old generation to the new generation at this point. So it wasn't that it wasn't really something to be excited about. But that's every match. Six of them made it in the S tier, six of them made it in the A tier, five made it in the B tier, two made it in the C, three made it in the D, and five made it in the F. Now, how would you rank these Undertaker matches? But thank you all so much for watching the video. Please like, share, subscribe, comment any other video ideas you have for the future, and I will catch you in the next one.